Welcome everyone to another episode of Retro Wrestling Reviews. Fredo Esparza here, and this week we look back at Mid-South Wrestling's February 11th, 1982 show. Before we get to the review, be sure to click that subscribe button. We'll have more wrestling show reviews as well as the Lucha World podcast and other additional content available on the Retro Wrestling YouTube channel. This episode of Mid-South Wrestling was taped on February 3rd, 1982 at the Irish McNeil Boys Club in Shreveport, Louisiana. Boyd Pierce is joined this week by General Skandar Akbar on commentary. Pierce runs through what will be on this week's episode. Pierce has a very colorful suit on. He compares what Akbar did in taking the Samoans away from Ernie Ladd to how the mob eliminates a boss to move on to a new one. Akbar was not pleased by Pierce's gangster comparison. That is then followed by a recap of what happened last week between Ernie Ladd, General Skandar Akbar, and the Samoans. Pierce wants to know who this huge ruffian who got involved in the attack on Ladd was. Akbar tells him that he won't reveal his name, but refers to him as a one-man wrecking crew. Pierce tells Akbar that he works at a low level and does whatever to win a match. They air video of the Samoans winning the Mid-South Tag Team titles. Akbar then says the General's army is growing and insinuates that someone in Mid-South caused the Iron Sheik to leave the territory. The first match on the show is the Wild Samoans Offensica with General Skandar Akbar beating Bill Ash and Rick Ferrara. General Skandar Akbar leaves the commentary area to stand ringside with the Samoans. Boyd Pierce mentions that the Samoans injured Mike George in the tag title match and he'll be out for a few weeks. This is pretty much a Samoans dominated match as they pretty much did everything they could against poor Bill Ash. I think Rick Ferrara only got in for a few minutes. Afa ends up getting the pin on Ferrara with the Samoan drop. The next match is Paul Orndorff beating Brian Blair. Before the match, they shake hands. They eventually lock up and break away cleanly as they are near the ropes. Some good mat work early in the match, and they continue to keep the match clean. Orndorff takes down Blair with a wrist lock and switches over into a hammerlock. Blair reverses it and goes for a roll-up but only gets a 2 count. Orndorff stares down Blair after that quick exchange. Blair gets Orndorff in a side headlock, but Orndorff uses the ropes to break out. Blair then goes for a sunset flip off the ropes and Orndorff reverses it for a 2 count. Blair and Orndorff catch each other in submission holds but are near the ropes and the referee has to help them break the hold. Orndorff lands a blow at Blair's midsection and goes on an attack with a forearm and knee lift. He gets another 2 count on Blair. Blair gets a sunset flip from the corner on Orndorff, but he only gets a 2 count. Orndorff starts throwing some forearms at Blair. They continue to fight near the ropes and end up falling over the top rope to the floor. Orndorff then brings Blair back into the ring and holds him by the hair while he climbs up to the middle rope and takes him down with a knee to his face, which was a very cool spot. Orndorff then gets the pin despite Blair nearly kicking out. This was a very good match. That is then followed by the Junkyard Dog beating Bob Roop to retain the Mid-South Louisiana title. The Junkyard Dog shows up yelling at Bob Roop and the referee. Roop asks the referee to hand him the belt, but he quickly returns it as JYD chases him away. JYD slams down Roop to start the match. He yells at the referee to shut up. Roop goes for a full Nelson on JYD, but he breaks out of it. He goes for it again and smashes JYD's head into the corner turnbuckle. JYD breaks out of it again and tosses Roop aside. Junkyard Dog lands a headbutt on Roop. They separate for a bit before Roop throws a few forearms at JYD in the corner. JYD then blocks one of Roop's blows and throws a few forearms of his own and takes down Roop, who rolls out of the ring. Roop gets back in the ring and JYD gets him in a side headlock. Roop then gets JYD near the ropes, whips him, and gets him in a knee, but JYD is able to make a comeback and slams Roop back down again. More punches thrown by JYD at Roop. They exchange punches. Roop steps out of the ring, JYD connects with a right, and Roop gets tangled in the ropes and falls with his foot stuck in the ropes. Another referee comes out to help him down. They go to a commercial break. Show returns from the break to air the finish that happened during the commercial break. Roop asks for a timeout. Paul Orndorff comes out to help Roop, who is complaining about the ankle getting hurt from being tangled in the ropes. Orndorff helps Roop up. The second referee gets Orndorff out of the ringside area. Roop gets back in the ring and JYD continues on the attack. Orndorff climbs up on the ring. Roop holds JYD so Orndorff can punch him, but JYD moves out of the way and Orndorff hits Roop instead. JYD slams Roop down as Orndorff climbs up to the top rope. JYD sees Orndorff and grabs him and slams him onto Roop. Bob Orton Jr. now runs out and climbs up to the top rope, and again JYD sees him and grabs Orton Jr. and tosses him to the outside onto Orndorff. JYD then hits a forearm on Roop and covers him for the pin. This was a fun match. After that, we get a tag team match as Mr. Olympia and Ted DiBiase beat Bob Orton Jr. and Ed Wiskowski. Mr. Olympia and DiBiase do some quick teamwork as they tag in and out on Orton Jr. early in the match. Mr. Olympia takes down Orton Jr. with a shoulder tackle. Orton Jr. tries to get a sunset flip pin on Mr. Olympia, but Mr. Olympia escapes. More quick tags from DiBiase and Mr. Olympia. Orton Jr. reaches out and tags in Wiskowski as Mr. Olympia has him in an arm lock. More quick tags from the babyface team. Wiskowski slams DiBiase while being held in an armbar. DiBiase and Olympia keep working on Orton Jr.'s arm near their corner. Some quick action between Orton Jr. and DiBiase. Orton Jr. catches DiBiase with a knee lift and tags in Ed Wiskowski. They double team DiBiase for a bit as Orton Jr. returns to the ring. DiBiase fights back and hits a right forearm on Orton Jr. and tags in Mr. Olympia. Ref doesn't see the tag, so he gets Mr. Olympia out of the ring. Wiskowski and Orton Jr. continue to double team DiBiase until they both collide and Orton Jr. gets knocked to the outside. DiBiase knocks down Wiskowski, but he goes for a second shoulder block and Orton Jr. pulls him by the hair. Wiskowski gets DiBiase up for a suplex, and Mr. Olympia hits a dropkick that sends DiBiase landing on Wiskowski for a pinfall. Orton Jr. tries to make the save and lands an elbow on Wiskowski instead. Mr. Olympia comes in and puts Wiskowski in a sleeper hold. DiBiase brawls with Orton Jr. and throws him to the outside. He then goes over and pins Wiskowski, who's knocked out from the sleeper hold, for the win. This was another good match on this week's episode. That is then followed by a match that is just on to fill out the time, which is Frank Monty versus Ron Cheatham. Ron Cheatham uses a hammerlock to take down Monty. Monty rolls out and reverses the hammerlock on him. He drops a few knees on Cheatham's left arm. Cheatham reaches the ropes to get the break. Cheatham gets a few punches in on Monty and gets him in a facelock. Monty escapes and throws in a forearm on Cheatham. Monty then gets a near fall on Cheatham with a roll-up. Monty hits a cross-body press on Cheatham for a near fall right as the bell rings as TV time runs out. And that ends the show. Overall, I thought this show was good. It had 3 good matches on it. They continued to talk about General Skandar Akbar stealing the Samoans away from the big cat Ernie Ladd. And there is now the mystery of who the big man that would eventually be the one-man gang in territory. The Orndorff Blair match was very good. The Louisiana title match between JYD and Bob Roop was good as well, with Roop doing a lot of selling and bumping for JYD. It also had a cool finish with Orndorff and Orton Jr. getting involved and being unsuccessful in helping Roop in the match. The tag match that followed, that was good as well, especially how Mr. Olympia... They're pretty much pushing Mr. Olympia's sleeper hold as being the next unstoppable hold. Previous to that was really the figure 4 leg lock, but now they're going with Mr. Olympia's sleeper hold being the next big unstoppable hold in the Mid-South territory. That's it for this review. Be sure to subscribe to the Retro Wrestling YouTube channel, and we will be back again soon with more reviews.